A professional case of significant importance occupied my attention at the time, and I spent the entire next day at the bedside of the patient. Not until nearly 6 o'clock was I free, allowing me to hurriedly take a hansom to Baker Street, apprehensive that I might miss the resolution of the little mystery. Upon arrival I found Sherlock Holmes alone, half asleep, his long, thin figure curled up in the armchair's recesses. The presence of numerous bottles and test tubes, along with the sharp, clean scent of hydrochloric acid, indicated that he had been engaged in his beloved chemical experiments all day. Upon entering, I inquired if he had solved it. Holmes replied affirmatively, stating it was the bisulfate of baryta. I clarified my question was about the mystery, not the salt he had been examining. Holmes explained there was never any real mystery, though some details were of interest, but lamented that no law could likely touch the culprit. I then asked who the man was, and what his motive was for abandoning Miss Sutherland. Before Holmes could respond, we heard heavy footsteps in the passage, followed by a knock at the door. Holmes identified the visitor as Mr. James Windibank, the girl's stepfather, who had written to say he would be there at 6. Holmes invited him in. The man who entered was a sturdy, medium-sized fellow, about 30 years old, clean-shaven, with sallow skin, a bland, insinuating demeanor, and sharp gray eyes. He glanced at each of us questioningly, placed his shiny top hat on the sideboard, and with a slight bow, slid into the nearest chair. Holmes addressed him, confirming the typewritten letter was from him, arranging the 6 o'clock appointment. Windibank acknowledged this, expressing regret for being slightly late, explaining he was not entirely his own master. He apologized for Miss Sutherland troubling Holmes, believing it better not to air such matters publicly. He insisted it was against his wishes that she came, describing her as excitable and impulsive, not easily controlled once her mind was set. He noted that while he didn't mind Holmes being involved due to his non-official status, he disliked the family's misfortune being publicized. Additionally, he considered it a wasteful expense, as he doubted Holmes could locate Hosmer Angel. Holmes calmly countered, expressing confidence in his ability to find Mr. Hosmer Angel. Mr. Windibank was startled, dropping his gloves, yet expressed delight at hearing this. Holmes remarked on the individuality of typewriters, likening it to handwriting, noting how they rarely write alike unless new. He pointed out the consistent slurring of E's and the defect in the oar's tail in Windibank's note, among other characteristics. Windibank explained that their office correspondence was done with the machine, acknowledging it was slightly worn, while glancing keenly at Holmes with his bright eyes. Holmes proceeded to show Windibank an interesting study. 4 letters purportedly from the missing man, all typewritten, exhibiting the same slurred E's, tailless R's, and 14 other characteristics. Windibank suddenly stood, picking up his hat, dismissing Holmes's talk as fantastical, urging him to catch the man and inform him when done. Holmes responded by locking the door, stating he had already caught him. Windibank, turning pale, demanded to know the man's whereabouts. Holmes assured him escape was impossible, deeming Windibank's assumption that Holmes couldn't solve the case a poor compliment. Urging Windibank to sit and discuss, Holmes began recounting events, inviting corrections if he erred. Windibank, appearing crushed, sat with his head bowed, while Holmes, resting with his feet on the mantelpiece, spoke as if to himself. Holmes narrated how Windibank married an older woman for her money, enjoying the daughter's funds while she lived with them. Her marriage would mean losing a significant sum, prompting Windibank to keep her at home, forbidding social interactions. But when she insisted on her rights in attending a ball, he devised a plan with his wife's help. Disguised as Mr. Hosmer Angel, with tinted glasses, a mustache, whiskers, and a whispering voice, he pursued the girl who believed him to be in France. Windibank protested. It was initially a joke, not anticipating the girl's strong reaction. Holmes countered, noting her lack of suspicion due to her belief in Windibank's absence. Angel's attentions, amplified by her mother's praise, led to meetings and an engagement, securing her affections. But the deception couldn't last. To end it dramatically, vows were taken, alluding to potential pre-wedding events, ensuring Miss Sutherland's fidelity to Angel and uncertainty about his fate. Windibank's plan was to prevent her from considering other suitors for years, vanishing at the church door by exiting a four-wheeler. Windibank, regaining some composure, sneered, suggesting Holmes was now breaking the law by restraining him. Holmes unlocked the door, expressing regret that the law couldn't touch Windibank, suggesting he deserved punishment. Angered by Windibank's sneer, Holmes considered using a hunting crop, but was interrupted by Windibank's hasty retreat down the stairs and street. Holmes, amused, predicted Windibank's escalation in crime, noting the case's interest. I confessed struggling to follow Holmes's reasoning. He explained the initial suspicion of Angel's strong motive and profit for Windibank, noting their never being seen together, Angel's disguise hints, and typewritten signature. Verification came from contacting Windibank's employer, confirming the description matched their employee, following Holmes's elimination of disguise elements. As for Miss Sutherland, Holmes believed she wouldn't accept the truth, citing an old Persian saying about the danger of dispelling a woman's delusion, finding wisdom in Hafiz's words.